Hey everybody, welcome to my kitchen. You're right here in my house. I've got my daughter Megan here, and we are going to be talking to you about something that Megan knows an awful lot about. And it is how to get EMPowerplus into your kids, regardless of the form. So we know every form has its ups and downs, and I get letters from moms all the time. You know, my kid hates Lightning, and I'm like, how? What? You know, my kid hates capsules, mine's gagging. This one here, she used to, it didn't matter what we did or how we tried to get it into her, she would claw it off her tongue. And it had to be like a serious game to get Meagan to take EMPowerplus. And she's got a great story about that and how she eventually learned that she needed it. So the big game with Meagan was trying to get it in, and we had to make it a competition to make that happen. So what did we do?
We would have smoothie drinking contests.
But not just like my smoothie, your smoothie. I would double the dose. We'd sit on either side of each other with a straw and see who could suck the fastest. And of course, I'd be sucking real slow while I watch her drink that thing down, because there was no other way. And actually, that actually worked for about a year.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, so doing like a fruit smoothie or a protein shake with EMPowerplus powder in it. At the time, we were trying to mask capsules. Now, Lightning's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we come back to this cupboard here, and we're going to just show you a couple of examples of recipes that I think might actually work for your kids. Okay, first tip. We're gonna talk about lightning sticks. I think that the best way to disguise lightning, if you've got someone who really can't just put it in their mouth and let it dissolve, the best way to disguise it is to make food that can dissolve in the mouth and maybe be held a long time in the mouth. One of my favorite tricks for that is the edible. It's like a jelly bar, but get a flavored gelatin and then add additional unflavored gelatin. And you'll end up with a texture that's sort of like this. I mean, you can pick that up. This one here is actually regular Jell-O mixed with some additional gelatin, and I think there was some canned milk in there to make it creamy, and then some additional fruit. So you added Lightning to that and refrigerated it in ice cube trays. You'd be able to dose it. So you would know how much Lightning was in each ice cube version. You don't have to add the extra fruit. I don't know how many of you had Jell-O jigglers when you were a kid, but a Jell-O jiggler would be a great way to add Lightning and make it a fun thing to eat. So try a Jell-O jiggler with your Lightning and see how long your kid can hold a Jell-O jiggler in their mouth and let it dissolve in their mouth. Here's tip number 2. If your kid's not gonna do a Jell-O jiggler, maybe they'll do a sipper. So getting a small amount of water, you would open up your Lightning stick, pour it in. That's actually a good amount of powder, you know, when you consider how much that is going into the mouth. Stir it up. The problem with the Lightning stick is it's not gonna go in solution. So what's gonna happen is it's eventually going to settle. And you can see, do you see the fine powder on the outside? That's the good stuff. That's the stuff you actually don't wanna miss out on, which is why it's better just going straight into the mouth. Let me just try this with a straw. Okay, it's a little bit sour. You would wanna be able to mix that with another fruit juice or something like that. Give it a little bit of a sweet taste. Mess around with flavors for your kids and see what they like, but have them drink it with a straw so that if something is falling out of solution, they're actually getting the bottom first. And that would be my tip for making Lightning drinkable. Okay, last tip for Lightning. Renova has the actual hydro stick. It's raspberry flavored. It's still a little bit sour. This is one that I might want to mix, blend it up with some fruit, do whatever I can to get it into the little guy. If it's too tart for them, but you'll see it's a good amount of powder. It goes in. It's nowhere near as sour as a Lightning stick, and it takes a little bit of mixing to get it to go into solution. But if you were to mix this pretty little drink in with some ice, maybe some fresh fruit, or do something just to make it appealing for your kid, a little bit of a slush maybe. I don't want to say give your kid ice cream, but getting them used to that flavor combination is actually, you might have to do some crazy stuff to get that to happen first. And once you introduce foods over and over to a kid, they'll start complaining less and taking it more readily. So let me know what you do to get lightning into your child if he's not prepared to take it straight on the tongue. Okay, moving on to capsules. Most of the studies that have been conducted with children have been conducted using EMPowerplus capsules. So an EMPowerplus capsule is not the same thing as lightning. The grind is different. The absorption is different. It's intended to be absorbed in the stomach. So mixing it with a more solid food is actually okay because it's going to break down in the stomach. Lightning, you want to get it into your mouth and have it stay there as long as possible. This stuff, it's okay if it hits the gut. And so mixing it into a food product actually works, but this stuff tastes terrible. Go ahead and try it sometime. Get yourself a bottle of EMPowerplus. Don't care what label it is. If it's EMPowerplus, it's either coming from True Hope or Renova. Open up a capsule and taste it. Okay, so the trick here is to get this capsule to mix in with a food product and mask the flavor enough that your child will deal with it. My kids took a capsule with their rice cereal. The very first time, their very first solid food had this flavor in it. And honestly, they did not know the difference until they started eating regular food, and then they were grossed out by it. But if they don't know the difference, they'll eat it. And I think my breast milk probably tasted like this too, because I was taking a lot of it. Look at how much powder. Ooh, there's more. It's a good amount of powder, okay? So you're just trying to get this much powder for one capsule mixed in with a food product so your little kid can take it if they have an aversion to lightning. I'll give you some examples. So I learned this trick from another mother. She would get a nut butter, this is almond nut butter, and mix it with a little bit of honey to taste, and then add some sort of a texture. So these are hemp seeds. It's a healthy fat. It's a good thing to add, and it's soft and easy for the kid. And then your favorite protein powder, which can add a little bit of sweetness, and it actually kind of works for a little bit. It just changes the texture. So playing around with those kind of ingredients, mixing it up with EMPowerplus, and getting it into knowing how, like one capsule for one ball, and then refrigerating those balls. Some kids really love them, and it becomes their little TV treat, and it's a treat. You don't give it to them unless they think it's a treat. So that was one way that one mom was able to get it into her 5-year-old boy without him knowing, and they got to get all the benefits without the fight.
All right.
Okay, Miss Meagan.
I'm back.
Pretend you're 4. Here's your little TV treat. That is one capsule. You should have to eat that whole thing to get one capsule in, but go ahead and try it.
Okay.
It's actually not that
It's
bad.
actually okay.
Could you see it if it was refrigerated?
I would eat that. Yeah.
It actually kind of feels like a cookie.
Need
doesn't it?
some water to wash it down. For sure.
Yeah, it's a little dry. So, but it's actually pretty yummy, isn't it? There are a lot of ways to get EMPowerplus into your kids. We've been doing it for 25 years.
I want another bite.
Well, the thing is, once your child gets used to getting that kind of nutrition in that form, they actually crave it because their body knows where to go to get it. So they're like, oh, can I have one of those weird honey cookies? And it's sort of like an unbaked cookie. I rolled it in hemp seed just so that it wouldn't be sticky. And I've seen mamas roll it in, you know, cocoa powder and things like that too. You figure out what works for your kid.
That's actually really good though.
It's not bad, right?
It's ugly, but it's
It's super ugly, but they don't know. They don't know. If you start them early, they don't know. So 4 capsules. There's only 1 capsule in there. You can push the envelope and see how many capsules you could manage to get in a ball, but you got to make it, you know, small enough for somebody to eat.
Well,
4 capsules is like 1 lightning stick, not in dosage, but in efficacy. That's the assumption.
I feel like you could even color it if you wanted, like put just, you know, a drop of food coloring just to make it fun if like your kids are really picky about something.
Or you could find something to roll it in that's a little bit more palatable looking. But you gotta be careful. Be careful with those food dyes because some kids are super sensitive to those.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, try it out. Let us know what works for your kids. I'm curious. Send us your recipes.
Okay, so just a real quick, honest review here. I actually couldn't even taste the EMPowerplus. I bet you we could have packed 2 capsules in there and it would have been absolutely fine. I'm on my last bite here because it actually is really good. This is a great treat for your kids and it tastes amazing. And yeah, I love it. 5 stars for me, or 10.